Okay. All I ever wanted was to be here. So we're all here. Sometimes the signal's strong, sometimes it's low. Just. Okay, now I'll get back to my script. We'll see what happens then. Okay. I like Rafe. I had a nice conversation with Rafe Martin the other day, and he told me that the origin of the word Buddha is a budding being. So we're all blossoming. Every moment is blossoming, and sometimes it's a bud, and sometimes, I mean, it's just I'm a gardener. I used to, when I was young, want to plant roses. Really, I remember roses it was that were perpetual, so they'd be blooming all the time. Now I think, wow, a rose that blooms just once in a season. It's like you never take it for granted. So it's really pay attention in a really different way. Okay. So Shakyamuni Buddha. Shakyamuni Buddha, we may have noticed, has a starring role in the Lotus Sutra, has a starring role of the Buddha of this eon. We all, I think, know the story is that he was brought up, secluded, kept safe by his parents, and being a seeker that he was, and being a human being that he was, he wandered outside the gate because he knew there was more. We could all identify with this story in some way or another. Wandered. Are you guys still hearing on screen? We're okay? Okay. He wandered outside the gate, and he saw intimately, directly, sickness, aging, and death. 3 different experiences, 3 different nights, I think. And I always think there's something about the fact that he was protected, that when he saw it, it moved him and shook him to the quick. Think if he was so wide open. And it amazes me that when he saw it, he never turned away from it. I mean, it set him on the path, which is what sets us all on the path. But most of us are just like, well, I'll do a little of this, and I'll do a little of that. And then finally, we'll land like you landed here today. And it took him he did many practices, many things that he was told that he should do by great spiritual teachers of his time, who said, you're great, Buddha, you want to stay here? And he went, no, this isn't quite it. And he just kept going, and he just kept going. He was going to see this thing all the way through, because he wasn't into it to get anything special. He just wanted to wake up, which is, I think, fundamentally what we all want. Like, how do you be here, awake in this suffering, beautiful world? What is that? So here's how Jane Hirschfield, the poet, describes where he finally came to. He sat down under a Bodhi tree in the shelter of the natural world. Just remember to sit down, to stop. He sat down under a Bodhi tree in the shelter of the natural world in all of its beauty and fullness, just like today. And he said, I will not move from this place until I have solved my problem. You can feel it, can't you? I will not move. Now, we used to think back in the olden days, or at least in my early days, and I thought I heard, who knows what was really happening, but what I heard was, I mean, sit zazen and do not move. And people injured themselves. Exactly what I think. Some of them woke up, but maybe people also injured themselves. But there's a place where you sit inside yourself. And then, you stand up and you get down. You up and down and move and because everything's moving. You have to be responsive. And I will not move from this place, this deep vow in me that says, I will wake up with for all beings. Because he knew, like we all do, that he had a very human problem. A human body that has wants and fears and ideas and agendas, likes and dislikes, that's born and it's going to die. So he gave himself wholeheartedly. And lots of things happened as he sat. Excuse me. Because in case you haven't noticed, and you will continue to notice throughout this retreat, that there are lots of things, lots of ideas, lots of concepts that are gonna like, oh, come on. You didn't really mean that. And let me just show you why you're a human being and you're vulnerable and this is a really dumb thing to do. And I mean, maybe at least once during this retreat, you'll think, who thought this was a good idea? But you just keep coming back. I often think we get born, who knows what really happens, but we get born. And I mean, if there's a little being that says, I think I'm going to go down there and do that again. These are my stories. This is how I make things up. And you think it's a great idea. Maybe I'm going to go down and save all beings. I'll take the form. I'll take this form. And then you get down here, and at least once in a lifetime, you think, what was I thinking? And you know what? You got exactly what you need and want. So Mara came. Constance Arshuso read us a great children's book that's a grown-up book about Mara. And Buddha just kept saying, I see you, Mara. I see you, human inclinations. I see you, human suffering. I see that you just think that you want this to be happy, but you also know you want to really be happy. And you want the whole world to be happy. And so, in Zen, what kept me coming back was not the word enlightenment, sorry, but it wasn't. Awake. I like awake. But intimacy. Intimacy and enlightenment are the same root word, or I'm not exactly sure, but enlightenment means intimacy. And that for me was the hook. That's what I wanted to wake up to. And I still don't know what that is. Well, I sort of have more of a taste of it, but that's what kept me going and keeps me going. The morning star, he sat through the night. He sat in the dark. He sat not knowing. Sat through fear, delusion, temptations. And it's such a beautiful story that in the morning, he awoke with the rising of the morning star. The morning star that's so evanescent and just form arising out of the darkness. Just as each thing is each moment, completely arising. Form arising out of emptiness, out of the formless. But because he had sat so still and so deeply, when the morning star arose out of the dark, it just, in a certain way, blew his whole world open. Everything he thought, everything he thought he was or wasn't, everything he wanted, the morning star just penetrated his heart. It opened the heart of the cosmos, which is how Thich Nhat Hanh talks about the Lotus Sutra. And he said, when the morning star appeared, this is one translation, I and all the sentient beings of the earth simultaneously attained enlightenment. Or when the morning star appeared, I and all sentient beings, all beings of this beautiful planet Earth simultaneously awoke. Simultaneous. We're talking about something that's not linear. That's one of the big gifts our Shuso gave us and Rachel gave us in relationship at the very beginning of the practice period. This is not linear. And it is linear. I mean, the reason we ring bells and keep you in linear time is so that you can let go of linear time and you don't have to track it with your mind. And the reason we do forms is so we can completely orient in time and space and then completely let go over and over. So that we can remember who we truly are. And we can remember the true nature of everything. That we are all budding beings. The whole world is opening and blossoming. And here, wanting us to come home to the home we already are. Suzuki Roshi said, when he, Buddha, attained enlightenment under the Bodhi tree, this is how he translates it, says it. Buddha said, it is wonderful to see the Buddha nature in everything and in each individual. And what he actually meant was that mountain is, or trees are, or flowing water, or flowers, or plants, and everything as they are, is the way, is Buddha. Everything is Buddha's body. So that's what we celebrate. That's a pretty good story to celebrate, right? I mean, as stories go. It inspires me. It keeps me here. And it keeps opening and opening because whatever I just said, I've never said that before. And who knows what I'll say a year from now? And who knows what's in your heart and what you heard? But there's something here that we know. I will not move because I can taste the truth of this. And I want to wake up with and for all beings. Because I'll tell you, when I look at the world, that's the good news about being in a really terrible time. There is so much suffering. It's a really good thing that some of us have a privileged enough life to be able to do this and to be here. Which doesn't mean to say I don't think there are people in war zones and everywhere who are living by this same deep vow, which really inspires me. But, whoa, wow, we got Tonka's light, warmth, tea treats, and not waste his life. So then the Buddha, after he woke up, this is a quote from Thich Nhat Hanh, I think. He sat for 3 days under the Bodhi tree, experiencing the happiness of freedom and peace, free from disturbing thoughts, calm and blissful. I don't know if it's very cheap, right? That sounds pretty good. Okay. And then he sat, and he sat. There's a period of time where he said, I don't want to go back in the world. You're never going to believe this is possible. Maybe he said something like, it's crazy out there. This is pretty nice here. You know what? All the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas all said, come on, Buddha, you have this vow. So he got up and then he went into the world to share what he now knew. And to be what he now knew. Because the great thing about that story is is he had left some friends behind, and they had judged him because he was trying this thing that nobody understood, and they saw him coming. I mean, this is my interpretation. They saw him coming, and they said, "Oh, there's that Buddha that, you know, wasn't towing the line." But you know what? When they saw him, they understood that something had happened, and then they all went, "Buddha, would you please tell us where you've been and what your path is?" How we be in the world matters, and it affects everything simultaneously. So Dogen, I'll just remind you, two fascicles that Dogen wrote about that leapt out of the Lotus Sutra, which he revered, is the Dharma flower turning the Dharma flower. And the teaching is that everything, I mean, in essence, as I understand it, is we are turning everything through our practice and our lives. We are waking up and helping everything wake up, and everything is turning us. So there's this deep mutuality. All you have to do is just show up in the middle of it. It's that dynamic and alive. And then his other essay, Only a Buddha and a Buddha, which also comes from the Lotus Sutra. It's sometimes translated as only a Buddha together with a Buddha. You can't do this alone. Dogen says at the beginning of the fascicle, Buddha Dharma cannot be known by a person. You cannot know this as a person separate by yourself. It's completely impossible. You cannot know Buddha Dharma as a singular person, because our knowing would then just be this separate person knowing something that we thought we knew, that somehow we had grabbed onto, and who knows. Buddhist practice, Buddha, Dharma, Sangha, is together with all the Buddhas across time and space, together with Dharma and the teachings, but the Dharma of just, well, you don't have to walk out the door, but the whole world is singing the Dharma. We sit down and get tenderized and sensitized enough to be able to see it and feel it, to be turned by it and to turn it. And Sangha, very few of us would be doing this by ourselves. We help each other. And we're here, and you on screen are there, and I see at least 2 Canadians, which is great. We're international. And Colorado, Idaho, Minnesota. It's like, wow, we are powerful guys. Whoa. And it's just us, exactly where we are, turning and being turned by all things. Practicing together with all beings, knowing that other sanghas, actually, Rohatsu is formally practiced on December 8th, which was yesterday. And some people have been doing Rohatsu sessions this whole past week. Some of us are doing it now. You have to believe in timelessness. You know, it's like, it's been happening in every time zone across time and space. And who knows what the time zone of Mars is, or who's sitting. I mean, I have a great imagination. So bodhicitta, the arising of the impulse, the arising of the yearning to wake up and be here with everyone and everything, is the bodhisattva way. So we begin with, it's wonderful that Dogen has told us over and over that it's not that Buddhas aren't deluded. Buddhas know they are deluded. That's the difference. It's like it's almost joyful. It's like, wow, do I have this great confusion that I'm going to use intimately to wake up with in my life so that I can understand, have some intuitive sense of what's happening with these other human beings who got bodies and who are all suffering and struggling in their own particular Dharma position. But we all got the same basic we all got the same basic karma of being in a human body. And we have particular karma. And it's exactly what we need. So don't think somebody got a better body. You got exactly what you need. Or you could do it reversely and think, wow, I got some really bad karma. I'm the more mud, the better the Buddha. It's like, whoa, am I confused? Whatever way you want to go, just like be grateful. Here's a quote from someone. The Buddha did not want to create a religion, but a path of letting go and tenderizing. Of waking up to what he now knew the whole world knows. The morning star illuminated the entire universe. So here is another Buddhist list. Another Buddhist list. It's fun. And the more you do them, the more you realize they're all saying the same thing. It's just different ways to get people to pay attention and to help us. So the 7 factors of awakening. Thich Nhat Hanh is my friend and guide in this. Offer a description of the characteristics of awakening as well as the path to awakening. Thich Nhat Hanh describes the path as, I like this, we're back to trees. Imagine a tree with 7 strong limbs, each representing a factor of awakening. And each year the branches grow longer and send out new shoots with new leaves. Enlightenment is growing all the time. That's you. That's me. I'm going to be enlightened. I'm being enlightened despite myself fighting it every step of the way. I didn't used to laugh about things like that. You can't help it. You just show up. Pay attention. Okay, so here's seven factors. 1, mindfulness. This is Thich Nhat Hanh. Of course, another way you can describe it is heartfulness. Or smriti literally means remembering. Remembering. Not forgetting where we are, what we are doing, who we are with, and it always arises in the context of relationship with ourselves, other people, or things. It's embodied. I'm going to say something critical, and I should pay attention to the time, but I'm having too much fun. I'm sorry. I hope you are too, but you're a captive audience. This in the very beginning when people would start doing walking meditation. And I remember thinking, my little judgmental mind, people are walking like zombies. I don't know what they think they're doing. It didn't look like there was any relationship to where there was something very, very self-centered in it. And I think now, we all mature and the tradition matures. It's we're walking with and for all beings, remembering, being in relationship. It's like, please keep your sense gates open, feel your feet on the ground. Sit with your whole body. The entire body is hands and eyes. I love that. Wow. Just sit with that koan. The entire body is hands and eyes. What is that? Okay, 2. Investigating phenomena, Dharma praviccha. We are open and allow things simply to reveal themselves. That's really different. That's turning and being turned. We are open and allow things simply to reveal themselves. There's a great trust and faith in that, and a deep confidence, a Buddha, Dharma, Sangha confidence. Come on, what is it? What is it? 3, virya, energy, effort, diligence, perseverance, inclusive, continuity, virya, looking deeply. When you look deeply, feel deeply, sense deeply, fully embody, everything, Thich Nhat Hanh says, is a miracle. I would use the word wonder. Just wonder. And we help others to see this by being just that. 4, ease, prashrabdhiti. Learn ways to bring our energy from our head down to our abdomen. That's what we're doing. Bring it down. Bring it down on the earth. Into the body. Breath. And practice letting go. So that when the morning star arises in each new moment, there's just ease and wonder and joy. And you don't have to fight or figure it out anymore. Takes energy, but it's easeful energy. What is that? Joy, priti, arises from just this. Thich Nhat Hanh says, touching things that are refreshing and beautiful within and outside of ourselves. If we can expand our vision and also see what is right, acting in harmony with everything, this wider picture will always bring joy. Touching and being touched by things that are refreshing and beautiful within and without. If we can expand our vision, the entire body is hands and eyes. I love just you sit zazen, just feel your whole body as it's like this big Enso circle, all sides, in front, behind, above, below. We are going to know what's right and appropriate in each moment. And the more we entrust ourselves to this embodied presence, the more there is just joy. And 6, concentration, samadhi. It takes concentration, one-pointedness. That's why we follow our breath. Keep coming back. Buddha used concentrated awareness to shine light on his suffering and was able to go deeply into life and to develop understanding. Keep bringing this scattered mind home. That's our job. Get too scattered? Counting's a really good practice. 1, 2. I'm going to get to 10. I'm really going to get to 10. Well, wait a minute. Where did I go? I was on 2. And wow, where did you just keep starting over? You just come back. That's your vow. That's our vow forever. And 7, equanimity or letting go, upeksha. Nhan Hanh describes it as loving everyone equally. That's a big time practice, including all parts of yourself. This part, but I don't think I like that part. Or I really like you, but it's like, I mean, we all just pay attention, just keep coming back. It's just our squirrely, it's just a squirrel, that's all. Just love the squirrel and just keep coming back. Okay, two koans you've probably heard from me before that are some of my favorites is a student asked Master Zhao Zhou, what is Zazen? It's non-Zazen. How can Zazen be non-Zazen? And Zhao Zhou said, it's alive. It's alive. Everything. It's alive. Which sounds good, but it's a little scary. Means you're not in control in the way that we think we are. So here's another story. Long ago, a monk asked an old master, when hundreds, thousands of myriads of objects come up all at once, everything's coming at you. I mean, really, it's like I'm just sitting here minding my own business and everything is acting on me. What am I supposed to do? The response was, don't try to control them. Or notice how you try to control things. We all have really good habitual ways. Study them and just keep coming back. Can we actually meet a person, a leaf, a tree, this pain in the knee, this resistance? Because if you can meet and be a Buddha, meeting other Buddhas. Willing to be helpful, to be kind, to meet greed, hate, and delusion, and each other. This is so simple. Buddha just sat down on the earth under a tree and said, I'm going to sit here with and for all beings forever. And he touched the earth. This is not rocket science. It's just a vow to just keep coming back to what we already are, to waking up to what we already know, because I don't think I'm saying anything that each one of us doesn't already know. So here's a couple of little things from Suzuki Roshi, because I love doing these things. I go searching. I think I Google him. What did Suzuki Roshi say about enlightenment? And of course, and his books. And he said, you might get enlightened and not like it. Be careful what you wish for or think you're wishing for. He also once said, the problem you have right now, you will always have. That's such a great one. If enough of your problems go away, others will come, or something else or somebody else will show up and give you their problems. If you're willing to just be here. Just this. He says, everything we do has an effect. The world is not out there. We are it, and it is us. What happens in the world is not separate from us, but depends on us, is connected to us, is not outside of us. The practice you are already doing, that practice, this practice of being completely you, is the expression of your awakening right now. You already got it. Always start where you are. Start where you are. It's exactly the practice being practiced by the awakening that is you beyond your conceptions and knowings. And when we practice with the aid of the Sangha, helped by the Buddha, we can practice Zazen in its truest sense. We will have a bright light here. Wherever you are, enlightenment is right here. If you stand up right where you are, that is enlightenment. Right here in the imperfection is perfect reality. I really believe this now. I mean, not all the time. How could it get more perfect than this? I mean, really? He says this is called I don't know Zazen. We don't know what Zazen is anymore, and I don't know who I am. Give up over and over and over thinking who you are. You know who you are and you know what's going on. Not as a side step or get me out of here. But what is it? Suzuki Roshi says, when you find complete composure, when you don't know who you are or where you are, that is to accept things as it is. Even though you don't know who you are, you accept yourself. That is you in its true sense. When you know who you are, that you will not. And when you know who you are, that you will not be the real you. You may overestimate yourself quite easily, but when you say, or underestimate yourself, but when you say, I don't know, I don't know, I don't know. You know yourself completely, and that's it. One. When we find the joy of our life and our composure, we don't know what it is. We don't understand anything. This is so reassuring. Then our mind is very great and very wide. I just more and more feel like I don't know anything. Such a, and it's actually rather joyful. Our mind is open to everything, so it is big enough to know before we know something. We are grateful even before we have something, even before we attain enlightenment. We are happy just to practice. We just entrust ourselves over and over and over. I think this is Taigen Dan Leighton's commentary on the Lotus Sutra. It's like the opening of a lotus or a flower. And receiving, being receptive and paying attention. It's about hearing each other and hearing the suffering of ourselves and others. It's responsive opening. What a great word, responsive opening. Like hearing it, it's very childlike, actually. It's not childish, but it's beginner's mind. I thought I'd teach you something to take with you. I remember lots of years ago, practicing at Everyday Zen, and Norman Fisher must have been the Jisha, and he was moving his lips when he was offering the incense or getting ready. He was getting ready to bow. And I said, "What are you saying?" And here's a gata. It's a bowing chant. So we're going to bow to our cushions. We're going to bow to each other. We're going to bow to the altar. You know, there's a lot of bowing. So this is a good thing to at least take the essence of it with you. Bower, and what is bowed to are empty by nature. Bodies of oneself and other are not two. I vow with all beings to attain liberation. to manifest the unsurpassable mind and return to boundless truth. Let me say that again. Let me say it again, and then you can say it after me. Bower and what is bowed to are empty by nature. There's nobody bowing to somebody else. You're bowing to yourself and to the whole world. Bodies of oneself and other are not two. Can you bow on the path? Can you bow just with your whole heart and body? Not to something, not you're something doing something that you think that whatever it is just give yourself to it. Fully. I vow with all beings to attain liberation, to wake up. I care that much, and I know about suffering enough to know that I want to give myself to waking up with and for all beings. And if it's too much to think about other beings, just stay with your own suffering and vow to wake up in the middle of it, because it hurts. You know, don't skip that. I vow to attain liberation, I vow with all beings to attain liberation, to manifest the unsurpassable mind, to open the heart of the cosmos and return to boundless truth. Just this, it's here. Over and over and over. I keep wanting to say this, and then I keep thinking you shouldn't say that, and then so maybe I shouldn't say it, but I will say it. So someone in this room is a wildland firefighter, or was for many, many years, and I'm going to be at Tassajara with the wildland firefighter retreat in December and January, and I think, you know, it's like it's so amazing to be in nature, because it's just what was Jane's quote. I said in the very beginning. I want to go back to that. Where did she go? She's here. Buddha sat down under a Bodhi tree in the shelter of the natural world in all of its beauty and fullness. And then, because it's a Buddhist thing to say the world is on fire. It's like wildland firefighters put themselves in the midst of fire, right in the middle of fire. Good heavens. Talk about living the metaphor. Right in the midst of the beauty and the fullness of nature. And how do you stay present in the midst of it? To take care of your own life and the people around you and the forest and nature. So I suppose in many, many ways, we're each in our own way wildland firefighters, or wild mind firefighters, or wild heart firefighters, or just, you know, it's like, stop thinking that whatever is on fire in you, whether you like them, I mean, delusion is full of passion and fire and life and alive. But how do we keep ourselves and everybody safe in it? How do we wake up in the midst of it so that we can live it and be it? Buddhism is described, another way it's described as something like it's like a cool drink of water. How do we touch the earth and be here and find that peace right in the midst of it? To find composure right in the midst of it so that we can do appropriate response and take care of ourselves and each other in this amazing world. So the really good news in this is sometimes it just feels hard. He's a Layman Pang and his daughter and his wife. There's something about sometimes it's just hard. And then I think, I'll look this up, is his daughter responds that it's also easy. It's joyful. That's the remarkable thing, is if you told me this, and in certain states of mind, if you tell me this, I'd tell you you're out of your mind. But it is joyful. And it arises more and more. And then there's wonder, and then there's ease, and then there's equanimity. And I don't know, if you can think of something better to do with your life, go ahead, but you already committed for the next day or the next 2 days. So you're stuck. But you can keep thinking about it and then see, I will not move. Okay. That's all. Power and what is bowed to are emptied by nature. Bodies of oneself and other are not to. I vow with all beings to attain liberation, to manifest the unsurpassable mind and return to boundless truth. Just bow. It's a great default position. It's whatever it is, just bow. Oh, good. That's a good. I'm way more clever than I thought I was.